I've decided to make today's video on Temeria, and this has been a very requested video as people want to know the full history of this kingdom and everything that's contained in it. So I've decided today to go in a brief outline of what this kingdom is, just to prepare you for if you want to know what it is in The Witcher 3. So to begin with, Temeria is a northern kingdom. It is arguably actually the most wealthy of the northern kingdoms, and it built up this wealth by producing goods, trading mineral resources that it mined from Mahakam, which is a country that it actually owns. Well, at least it's a vassal state that it owns. And its currency, the Orin, is world renowned. So I briefly touched on it just then, but Temeria actually owns a few different provinces, and these consist of, as I said just then, Mahakam, which is the dwarven and gnomish stronghold, which I've talked about in previous videos. There is Elander, which is technically its own dukedom, but it is controlled by Temeria. And as a little fact, this is actually where Yennefer took Ciri to be trained. Temeria also owns Thanadile, which I've talked about in quite a few videos now. Thanadile is actually just west of Gor's Velen, and it actually owns Aretuza, which is I believe where Yennefer was trained. You can correct me on that. And that is just next to Thanadile. So the last known reigning monarch of this kingdom, when it was a full kingdom, is actually Foltest, and it can go different ways depending on your outcome in the games. You could argue that Radovid technically owned it, but Temeria was kind of a split country at that point, and I'd say that there wasn't really a leader of Temeria overall. And you could say that the king kind of becomes Emir if you go for that route, or the king becomes Radovid, or the king can become Dijkstra, but that's completely up to you within the games. But for now, the last known monarch of this kingdom, when it was at its fullest, is Foltest. I'll go into King Foltest in a later video, as he is a very interesting character, and he's had a lot of dealings with Geralt in the past. He's actually very prominent in the first two Witcher games and the books. So the coat of arms of this northern kingdom is actually white lilies. There's an entire history behind the white lilies, which I'll go into. Allow me to read this quote that I've got. The original coat of arms established by the legendary monarch was a shield with the upper half gold and portraying a passant black lion, and the lower half black without a sign. Royal dukes, however, used a different one, adding a third field with 3 silver lilies, symbolising their succession to the throne. This remained until Prince Goidmar led the Temerian army against insurgents of Folka, and, under his lily standards, fought and won decisive victories. When he inherited the throne from his father, King Gardic, he established 3 silver lilies on the black shield as the kingdom's coat of arms, as a memento of those battles, and miraculous escape of his wife and children from enemy hands. His son, King Cedric, did the last change, and by special decree studded the shield with lilies. So that's the story of where the Temerian lilies came from. It's actually a very known thing within The Witcher to have the Temerian lilies. You see it in a lot of classic sort of Temerian armour, etc. In fact, one of my favourite quotes from The Witcher 3 is when Roach is talking about how Nilfgaard are going to take over and Temeria is going to become basically a vassal state for them, but they'll have their own laws, etc. within their own right, but they're ruled over by Nilfgaard. And he says, I think it's something along the lines of, the Temerian lilies will bloom under the sun of the south, or son of Nilfgaard, which I think is quite a nice phrase. So that's the basics of this kingdom. I'll go into monarchs of the kingdom, royalty, I'll go into many other things in this video, but first I want to talk about what happened after Foltest's death. Only slightly though. So what I wanted to mention is that I said the last known monarch was Foltest, and technically there was a ruler after him, but it was a very short ruler and he technically wasn't king. So Temeria was ruled for 1 year by Jon Natalis, who sadly didn't have the support of the nobles. So if you've played The Witcher 2, you'll know that Jon Natalis, he was basically the leader of the army, he was very well respected, people wanted him to be king, but he didn't have the support of the nobles because he had no royal blood. They didn't support him in any way, which is when it turns into the whole mess that is The Witcher 2 ending and 3 start. So next I'm going to go into the monarchs. This is all the monarchs that we know of from Temeria. There may be more, so please tell me in the comments. Desmod, Abdank, Adalbert, Geddes, Gardic, Goidmar, Cedric, Griffin, Bienvenu Lavu, Medel, and Foltest. The royalty of this great kingdom include Ada of Temeria, Ada the White, Adela, Amavet, Anis Lavalette, Busi Lavalette, Fiona, Mari, Pulcheria. So Anais and Busi were actually, in The Witcher 2, they were the kids that, when Lethe was pretending to be the monk in the tower. So notable nobles from this kingdom include Arian Lavalette, Maria Louise Lavalette, Ragbard, Velerad, Viserad, Bronibor, Diana de Saint Villiers, Hereward of Elander. So they're all the main nobles. If you want to learn more about them, I do character videos, should be sure to subscribe to get those. So the main cities in Vizima, and Strongholds actually, include this. So obviously there's Vizima, but it's strange because it's actually spelled with a W in the books, but they changed it to a V in the games. I'm not too sure why, I imagine it's just because then when you read it, you can read it how you would say it. Anker, Burdorf, Caelf, Carreras, Dorian, Dorndal, Gorsvelen, Hirundum, Maribor, Mavenna, Razwan, Vatvia. So they're all the cities and strongholds. If you want to learn more about them, I will do videos on them in the future, but for now, that's just a basic outline of all the cities and strongholds within Temeria. So the main regions and landmarks of this great kingdom are actually mentioned quite a lot in the games and the books. So one of the most notable ones is actually the Pontar Valley, which is you definitely will learn about in The Witcher. It's not necessarily important to this video, so I'm not going to go too into it. I will do it in a later video though. So regions and landmarks of this great kingdom include the Pontar, Travar, Ismena, the Mahakam Mountains, Tukai Foothills, Old Road, Pontaria, Velen, Maribor, and White Orchard. So they're actually all within Temeria. It's weird because in The Witcher 3, Radovid owns a very, very small part of Temeria to the north, but Nilfgaard has basically taken over the entire south and they've ruined it, which is where you know, Velen and White Orchard. So this is another section of the video that I wanted to cover, and it's basically Temeria after the war. What I mean by that is after the current war of Nilfgaard, the one that goes on in The Witcher 3. So, Nilfgaard invades, and with Foltest dead, Radovid and Hensel invade Temeria. They split it between them, and if Hensel is left alive after The Witcher 2, Radovid invades Kedwen, and Hensel is killed in the battle, giving King Radovid rule over Temeria, Kedwen, and Redania. Velen and White Orchard then taken by Nilfgaard. But if Hensel is actually dead at the end of The Witcher 2, Radovid just goes in and they basically surrender it to him. So, during The Witcher 3, if Radovid is killed, Dijkstra can become the ruler, or Nilfgaard makes Temeria its vassal state. But if Radovid lives, he beats Nilfgaard and controls Kedwen and Temeria. So it's all a very, very interesting kingdom. There's a lot of history within this kingdom and little stories that I will go into in later videos. This is basically just a summary of the entire kingdom as a whole. I'd love to go into many of the major battles like the Battle of Sodden, but that'll be for later videos. So to summarize this video, the government is a monarchy, the military is known as the Temerian army, the capital is Vizima, the language it speaks is the common speech, aka English, and the currency is Orens. And that's all I wanted to say for today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. Sorry it might not have as much information as you were hoping for, but I will go into it later videos. My basic idea is I want to do basic lore videos that people can just enjoy, and then I want to do full playlists on single subjects that you can look out for later. For example, I've done a video on Kaer Morn and the School of the Wolf, and they pair together and tell you a story about the School of the Wolf. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. If I got anything wrong, which I don't think I did a lot of this research myself, but we'll see. Be sure to tell me in the comments. And as always, thank you to the Patreon pledges. You guys, seriously, it's honestly unbelievable that you guys donate to me, and I know I say this every video, but I'm still completely amazed by it every time I look. You know, for example, I got a comment the other day that was like, terrible accent, bad subtitles, disliked. And I was sat there like, well, I didn't realize. But then I thought about the Patreon, and you guys, seriously, you made me feel happier. I didn't do the subtitles myself, obviously, that's just natural with YouTube. But thank you guys so much, it seriously means a lot, and I hope you all have an awesome day. And to everybody else that leaves nice comments, likes the video and everything else, you guys are all awesome. So thank you for watching today's video. There'll be a Witcher part out tomorrow, so I hope you're all looking forward to that, and I'll see you all later.